Hello, 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 my friends. Let's invite our new friend, Flynn. Hello. So many people. Okay, so let's look for Flynn here. Sure, I couldn't find. Here you go. Welcome.
Hey,
Hello.
good to see you.
Same here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. You can hear me?
Perfect. Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
amazing.
Beautiful. Let me ask you, brother, what is something that you really, something that really touched your heart recently?
Mm. Well, something that touched my heart in a way that was a little painful and difficult. I had a call with my coach this morning, who's like sort of spiritual guide coach. Um, and we are having a conversation about how I tend to veer emotional rather than logical. And he was being pretty stern about it. And I felt myself like wanting his approval, wanting him to tell me that it was okay. Um, Kind of like scrambling for safety a little bit, which was a really valuable experience for me to like get knocked off of my center like that, because I don't often get knocked off of my center. Um, so that touched my heart in a way that was a little uncomfortable, though I appreciate it happening.
Beautiful. I love
Yeah,
it.
thank
Thank
you.
you
How
for
about
sharing
you?
that.
Of course.
I really feel with that. I've been there as well. That's why like it's so important to let's say balance the masculine and the feminine part of us, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can unlock the emotional part when it's needed,
Mm-hmm.
and then potentially unlocking the action part when
Yeah.
it's needed.
What works for you to be able to access the action or logical part?
What works for me? So for me, it comes a bit natural
Mm-hmm.
because I am really like result driven. So I want
Mm-hmm.
to see results based on what I do. So
Mm-hmm.
and for me, it's so important to have immediate feedbacks. So
Mm-hmm.
it's something important for me to access flow states as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have immediate feedbacks, then it's a bit easier for me to take action. And usually, let's say the emotional part is like when I start the day and I connect with my intention and say, why am I doing this? Like, what is my big
Mm-hmm.
why? Like,
Mm-hmm.
where do I want to go? And start to
Mm-hmm.
feel the emotion through that. And maybe sometimes it's just feeling insecure, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
achieve things because feeling insecure. It's good to feel that and to
Mm-hmm.
connect with this feeling.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful answer. I like the idea of immediate feedback and results. One of the things that he and I were speaking about how most people are just looking to feel better. So in like coaching or therapeutic work, like an insight will happen and a lot of people will have this of like, "Oh my God, that like I love that. I'm so happy." And what they're actually looking for is a state of elation rather than truly transforming the way that they see the world. And it's not the seeking of the state of elation that changes things or creates results. It's the transformation of how a person sees the world that creates results. So I thought that was a really interesting thing and like gave me a lot to reflect on.
Beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
honestly, we started like a fire. So I would love to set like a bit of a space here for everyone listening and also for us. So I would invite everyone to close our eyes and to connect to our breath for a few seconds. And let's take just 3 deep breaths. And as you connect to our breath, let's think about something that we are really grateful for. Maybe it's a really good friend, a family member, or maybe something we achieved recently, or maybe just this very moment. Let's just feel this deep gratitude in all our body. And as we connect to this deep feeling of gratitude, let's set an intention for this life today. Maybe it's to access more vulnerability, maybe discovering new parts of us, sharing our voice, finding a new accountability partner, whatever the intention is. I want to invite you to do that. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. All right. Such an honor to have you here. And thank you for choosing to be here from all of the millions things you could be doing right now to be right now, right here in a place where we are here to share our gifts, to have some positive impact around the globe. And I would love to ask you, like, what is like the number one gift that you have?
Great question. What I enjoy doing the most and what seems to come naturally to me is an ability to create an environment or a container where other people can be the most themselves. That feels really, really good to me. To communicate to a person energetically, however, that all of who they are, the whole spectrum, the whole sphere of who they are is welcome, and I'm desiring to explore that with them. Probably that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a big superpower. And for you, does it never come this judgment towards what the other person is going through, or just naturally doesn't come to you?
I'm always judgmental. I think judgment is often coming up for me. I categorize a lot, but I think my experience is that I'm not judging my tendency to judge. Like when I'm allowing judgments to happen and not controlling that, which seems to allow me to also be still and apply curiosity to who a person is. So I think it's the capacity to not judge my judgments that allows me to also be curious and present with a person.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So then you naturally reconnect to a state of curiosity towards the other person and understand what's happening there.
Yeah, I think so. Like what it is like when I notice myself judging another person, so one thing about me is I grew up in New York City. I grew up in Brooklyn in a really, really diverse neighborhood. I went to public schools. So I became deeply familiar with all different types of people and all categories of people. And because I have this sort of catalog in my head of all different types of people, when I see a person, I'm generally putting them into one of those categories and also creating a hierarchy of complexity. Like this person is this complex, this person's consciousness is pushing the edge in this way, and this person might be less complex. Constantly doing that. But I also have a relationship with that where I'm lovingly making fun of myself for doing that. I'm laughing at that in a loving way, knowing that that part of me thinks that it sees the truth, thinks that it has some kind of access to truth and really wants to have access to truth. But then there's this other part of me that knows there's no such thing as truth, especially when it comes to hierarchy and categorizations. So it's that humor and that relationship with myself that I think allows me to, yeah, to have access to curiosity. Also, it's curiosity is not something that I am intentionally trying to cultivate. I think curiosity becomes this natural extension of feeling peaceful or loving or whatever.
Yes, yeah, no, I feel that, and I think it's very important, to do this kind of internal work when it comes to, for example, the work that you do, because you work with people, and it's sort of like a normal state to be.
Yeah.
So I feel that. So can you tell me, like, specifically, how do you help people? Like, what kind of let's say, um, problems can you solve for them?
Most people come to me with this general idea of what freedom would be like, what personal spiritual freedom would be like. They've seen it. They may have had an experience of awakening, waking up, some kind of shift in consciousness. So they see what's possible for themselves, but they don't yet know how to be the person and do the things that that person does, the person that they want to be.
Yes.
So there's this sense of stuckness in past conditioning, but they do have a vision for what life could be, who they could be. So generally, I help people expand that vision for who they can be and what they can do, and then help them be the person and do the things that is that person.
Hmm. So then it's pretty much people that have a vision about what the future could be like,
Mm-hmm.
but they basically cannot match who they are with this future self.
Exactly.
And so you bring them like into this journey from who they are to their future self.
Exactly. Exactly.
Beautiful.
So very, very consciously creating this version of themselves that they like, this version that feels excited, that's based in their preferences, what feels energizing, what feels good in their body,
Mm-hmm.
consciously creating that version of themselves. Yeah. And then exactly like learning about how to be that person. Sometimes sometimes parts of that process are really easy. And once a person understands that they just have to do something differently in order to be that person, it's available. And sometimes
Yeah.
there are deeper psychological and spiritual blockages, and those things need to be like tended to and worked through. Yeah, that's generally the process.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. So let's say that I have a vision. Like, let's say I want to
Mm-hmm.
become either successful, or like I want to have my ideal partner. I want to maybe be healthier, and I come to you. So, what kind of tools or what kind of framework do you use for going through this process?
Mm-hmm. So it really depends on where you're at in your development, of course. One of the things that comes up as you're asking about that, one of the things that I find to be the most helpful is applying this framework of strategies, wants, and needs.
Yeah.
So our needs are love, safety, and belonging. That fundamentally, those are the things that humans need. That's what we perceive as nourishment and energy, love, safety, and belonging. To me, more so than food or shelter. If there's the presence of love, safety, and belonging, especially interpersonal safety,
Mm-hmm.
we can be okay. So fundamentally, we need love, safety, and belonging. When we perceive the availability of love, safety, and belonging, so like in our dynamic right now, if I feel like you're accepting and unconditionally lovable, then that allows me to be in an energetic state where I might feel joyful, playful, kind, curious, feeling the ways that I want to feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the feelings that are associated with the perception of love, safety, and belonging, those are our wants, the things that we want to experience. And for me, the wants are really the closest to the truth of our reality that we can get. I can only know what my energetic state is in any given time, right?
Yeah.
And then the strategies are the things that we use to access our wants. So if it's making money or making an impact on the world is a strategy. So you make money to access other strategies. You make money so that you can travel. That's another strategy. traveling so you can expose yourself to new cultures. That's another strategy. And to novelty, that's another strategy. Novelty might be a strategy that you use in order to access excitement. So what you actually want is excitement, and that excitement is associated with the experience of love, safety, and belonging. So starting to understand the world in terms of these layers of strategies, wants, and needs, so that people gain clarity on what they're actually going for, which is the feeling,
Yes.
and then just start to play with strategies like experiments to play around with different feeling states.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so interesting. So basically, you're telling me, let's say, for example, yeah, I see I wanna make more money, so then I can go for traveling, and so that I can have more excitement. So then, the way we go through that is like, how can we have more excitement without having to go through all of this process? So that then the process comes along with excitement. Is this what you mean, right? Great.
You
Because
got it.
this is how we create at the end, right? Like, it's not that we create things like in a way like I want that and it's happening. So we need to become the type of person that manifests that. Like, we need to become the type of person that in energy we match that frequency. And
Exactly.
if we don't do that, like, it will be so hard, and it will take so much time at the end. And maybe it will happen. Maybe it will happen.
But it just
But
takes longer, and it's more
it takes
difficult.
longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It makes you lose also confidence, because it's like up and downs, and you're possibly not doing what you love, because like, this is like what the business coach tells me, or like, this is like what Elon Musk is doing, so I'm gonna go and do exactly the same thing.
Exactly right. So when you're doing that, like when you see Elon Musk doing something, you're seeing the strategies, or a person is seeing his strategies that he's employing.
Yes.
And so often we get caught up in the strategies like their reality. Like, even making an impact is a strategy to access a feeling. But when
Correct.
we get caught up in the strategy and the story, then we start operating with assumptions about who we're supposed to be, which then just makes us judgmental and blaming, takes us away from being able to cultivate the feeling like excitement or whatever. But you've got it so right. When you learn that you can produce the outcome that you're seeking to create right in this moment, then you become not attached to the outcome, and then that makes the outcome happen easier.
Exactly. And so this is very important. This is like why it's important to access to, let's say, a high state of authenticity, which then this will lead to a high state of creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can create from a space of authenticity and not create from a space of a template or framework is already there, like, it won't come as natural to us.
Right. So what you're talking about is releasing attachments to pre-existing frameworks, stepping into a space of creativity with authenticity.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And I can tell you that, like, these are big things. So let's say I've been a coach for a while, and let's say it's been such a journey for me. And let's say at the beginning, like, what I was doing is like, oh yeah, I'm learning the best things, and I'm going to teach the best things that I'm learning from other people's framework and whatsoever. So I was doing okay, but the real shift happened when I started to teach things that was really embodied. And that's people really start to feel it. And it was coming more natural to me, and people were getting results better. And I think this is like some kind of thing that we might need to understand. We don't need all of this framework and copying like exactly what people do, but understanding our internal blueprint. Period. That's it.
So beautiful. So when you started to take the things that were most embodied for you, take the things that you felt the deepest, you then found that what you were teaching, when you were applying those things to helping other people, you found that it was more potent, more powerful, created faster change for people.
Yes.
Yeah. What is authenticity to you? What does that mean to you?
Yeah. So authenticity it's been a big topic for me, because for me, authenticity is like living my truth, like living like what my soul wants, and at the end is like also expressing that and living from that place. So what that means is like what I am surrounding myself with has to do with who I really am, not what looks cool, not what looks interesting, and not what could give me validation, but what a life that is authentic to me, because I don't want to go in the deathbed and say,
Mm-hmm.
I lived this life
Mm-hmm.
because of someone else, or because I
Mm-hmm.
was copying who else. So
Right.
basically creating our own identity.
Yes. And for you, what do you use to identify what's true for you? How do you know what's true for you versus what's not true for you?
Yes. So, it's funny you asking me because I was going to that. So I think like the feelings, how we feel,
Mm-hmm.
is going to determine how
Mm-hmm.
authentic we are.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if we have all of these things nailed, let's say we got it all,
Mm-hmm.
work, partner, whatsoever, and we feel still, unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. I'm not living in an authentic place. There's
Mm-hmm.
something there that it's missing, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And
Mm-hmm.
that is like a great sign. But when
Mm-hmm.
you wake up in the morning and you feel like ecstatic and you feel like everything is in alignment and
Mm-hmm.
you don't need anything, that's
Mm-hmm.
where you're living in an authentic place. So I think the
Mm-hmm.
feelings that we have is a clearer feedback
Mm-hmm.
on how authentic we are.
Yes, I think that I so agree with that. So completely agree. It's I actually for me, I think it's actually really confusing to try to be myself because I don't know what that means. What I do know is what feels good. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so what I
Yeah.
find is like if I'm living a life that's authentic or in alignment where I'm waking up and feeling excited, I look back and I've been like, oh, for the last week, I've been myself. But if I look forward and say, this week I'm going to be myself, I don't know what to do. But if I look forward and I say, I'm going to use my excitement as my compass for making decisions, then
Yeah.
I'm stepping on a path of being myself, though not pursuing being myself, pursuing a feeling of excitement.
Yes. No, I agree with that. And but maybe we will never know who we are because anyway, we are changing every day. Like our molecules, our body is changing. So who we are at the end, it's it's it changes. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
that we are someone today and
Right.
yesterday we're gonna be the same person or the same identity for the next 4 years. We
Right.
change. Thanks God, we do change,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all about upgrading our systems.
Mm-hmm.
That's all about it. So I want to upgrade your systems. You're already a different person, and as you're a different person, you're gonna start to take different choices,
Mm. Mm.
and then you
Okay.
embody different things.
Yes, I like that a lot. So what are some of those systems? What are the levels of the systems and what are some of the systems that you like to help people with?
Yeah. So let's say mostly right now I work with entrepreneurs that let's
Mm-hmm.
say they wanna grow their business and they don't wanna do it in the traditional way. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe they just wanna enjoy their life first. So creating a business where they can have the lifestyle they want,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is, and then
Mm-hmm.
building the business. Because I know
Mm.
lots of people who, yes, they have the business, but then no relationships, they're not doing what they love, and even though like maybe they are like successful coaches or speakers or whatever, like they're so miserable and they feel so
Mm-hmm.
good only when they're on stage or when they're
Mm-hmm.
doing certain
Mm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I like to make life simple, and I like to categorize things. So let's
Mm-hmm.
say as easy, I divide life in 4 parts, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to upgrade my life in these 4 parts, which is
Mm-hmm.
health,
Mm-hmm.
wealth, relationships, and connection with God. So if
Oh.
I can upgrade these four
Mm-hmm.
things, and each time I'm doing something to upgrade that,
Mm.
I'm happy. Like I know I
Mm.
will be happy.
Mm. Okay. And how are you measuring the upgrades? How do you know when an upgrade has been made?
So the upgrade for me is like the embodiment.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say what different choices am I making every day that seems like the shift is happening. For
Mm-hmm.
example, when it comes to health, like am I doing the workouts? Am I eating properly? Am I doing the fasting whatsoever? Is it embodied? Am I doing it without having to remember that? For me,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good result.
Mm.
Same thing
Okay.
with wealth. Is it wealth coming to me like efficiently, or am I like working too hard, or am I like having a scarcity mindset, or am I like attracting not the right people? Is it coming effortlessly?
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no? That's a feedback.
Got it. Okay. So in the four categories of health, wealth, relate, what it sounds like what you're helping people. I love those categories. Those are the categories. I think Carl Jung's categories are work, play, love, and spirituality, which are essentially the exact things that you just said. So what you're doing in each of those categories is you're creating a vision for who the person is and what they do and what they have in each category. There's a be, do, have in each category. And so that you're able to like measure the be, do, have because you have a clear understanding of what the elevated version of themselves in that category is.
Exactly.
That's a great system. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I will tell you even something more, and this like is gonna blow your mind.
Yes.
So do you know about the breaking the 4-minute smile?
Like how for 50 years people thought it was impossible, and then someone did it, and then all of a sudden like a bunch of people did it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I only know vaguely about it.
Okay. So let's say, for example, I have a vision, and this has been like my technique so far to manifest a life beyond what I even visualized, beyond what I was even thought was possible. So if you go in an environment where you see like breaking this 4-minute smile in all of these categories, and you surround yourself with people that go beyond that, you're gonna start to believe and upgrade the vision that you might have for that. For example, I moved here in Nosara for a purpose. I'm in Nosara in Costa Rica, and here I see people breaking 4-minute smile in each category of their lives, literally. And for me, it's giving me so much more hope and so much more bigger vision about what's possible for me as well. Because my goals changed so much in the last 6 months just because I've been seeing people get into that level. And now I am understanding how we are limitless. Because at the end, those people have nothing more than me, nothing more than you. They just have a vision, and they surround themselves with people that they've been there.
Yes. Yes. That's so beautiful. So what I understand you saying there is playing with this concept of we will only be, do, and have what we are familiar with, what we subconsciously believe is safe. So if subconsciously we don't believe breaking the 4-minute mile is safe, then we'll never do it. But if we see someone who we relate to and can identify with who does it, then it makes it safe and familiar for us to be able to do it. So you're intentionally surrounding yourself with people who like are breaking 4-minute miles all the time, which then just dissolves all limitations for you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so
let's say that I'm a bit more structured when it comes to people. So let's say I spend 1/3 of my time with mentors. And for me, mentors is like people who have breaking this 4-minute smile in one of these areas of life. And I do that. I consciously schedule time with mentors. Because for me, I was in a place where I was always hanging out with people where I was the mentor, where I was like teaching people what to do. And I wasn't upgrading my systems. Okay, I could read the book and yes, sounds good to have that and do that. But if I don't see it and I'm not believing it, I'm not embodying it. But now I'm consciously like deciding to hang out with these people, and they know they are my mentors because I tell them clearly, look, like you are my fucking inspiration and I want to spend more time with you. And we do that. Can we schedule some time together?
Beautiful. Okay.
Authentically expressing that, again, being authentic with the message, with the intention I have with these people.
There's so much in there that's so good, and I have a million questions, but I'll just go. I love that so much. But what I'm hearing there is that you were formally having an experience that was draining you, I imagine, experiencing yourself as the teacher in all categories. And that's super draining to always be leading. And so you wanted to change that experience. So then what you did was sought to put yourself in positions where that wasn't the dynamic all the time, that's beautiful because that's accountability. I find myself in that dynamic sometimes where I'm like teaching a lot rather than receiving it. And I notice that I can actually fall into a victim role when I'm doing that. I like develop a narrative of being a victim, but then I'm also like enacting a hero role, saving the people who I think I need to save by like leading or teaching or whatever. And so like engaging in the drama triangle there. So it's really cool to hear how you just took accountability and changed that for yourself. And I'm curious for you, like, if you've been in a position where you experience being the mentor all the time as draining, I imagine that you're very conscientious of being reciprocal in the energy with your mentors now. And I'm curious about how you go about that. How do you ensure that the energy is balanced between you two if they're mentoring you?
Yes. So let's say my goal is at some point I'm gonna mentor this person with something else, and then this person automatically then is gonna go into the block of friends. Now for me, friends is like where it's like an exchange of mentorship. Like I'm mentoring you, you're mentoring me. I'm healing you, you're healing me. I'm feeling understood from you. I'm understanding you. So this is like what is friendship for me. And I think this falls also in the category of romantic relationships. For me, there must be already a proper exchange. So this is my goal. So I would always ask to the person, how can I support you with what I have or with what I'm going through? And then I realized that there is always something that we can do for others. I give you an example. Like I've got my business coach and we are friends as well. And like he was mentoring me and he knows like he's my mentor. He knows that when I'm with him, like I'm gonna be like a sponge. But then like I could see like say Walter, like you will go out on the beach every morning and you work out every morning. And I want to join you because I don't have the consistency, the accountability to do that. Can I join you? I said, yes. You know, small things. It's just a workout. I'm not even coaching him. But now like we are developing like from mentor, he became my friend. And now we do the workout and then we go and he mentors me when it comes to business. So can you see that?
Yep.
I'm always asking them like, how can I support you? Because people will always see something in you. Maybe it's confidence. Maybe it's like lifestyle or maybe it's, you know, relationship. Because let's say, yeah, you have a business coach, but then you have like in a powerful relationship and he wants to know like, how did you do that?
Yes.
You know, so there is always something we could do for our mentors.
I love that. I love that so much. Like I like the idea of reciprocal, mutually beneficial relationships that are intentionally mutually beneficial are really one of the most beautiful things on the planet to me. It's the most sustainable thing because, you know, like who knows what'll happen with this friend and mentor. But because you were so intentional about ensuring that there's reciprocal energetic exchange, like now you get this mentor and his perspective and his advice forever, probably.
Yes. And I give back to him forever.
Right.
And we are not done because I'm still upgrading my systems. So like maybe in a year from now, I have something else to give him. And the same for him. In a few years, he's gonna have more to give me.
That's a really, really cool way of seeing it. So you're engaging in a relationship where you understand that there's going to be growth on both parties. What both people are going to be able to give a year from now is different than what they're able to give now. So you're investing in compound interest in terms of energetic exchange. Yeah. The best. Yes. Yeah.
And that's why like I'm also doing this work, you know, like it's a win-win, you know, like I do know you like a few weeks ago. I saw your Instagram. I loved your work. I love your reels, man. Your reels are amazing, man.
Thank you.
For me, like I will literally pay 10K to do things that you do, and it doesn't come so organically for me. And I said, cool, like why don't we connect and we create like a win-win situation, you know? Like we are knowing each other, we are like mentoring each other, and they're like, you know, 30 people listening to us.
So cool. Right? Yeah. So I'm loving getting to know you. Like I'm having this experience of getting to know you where I was like, oh fuck, this dude knows what is up. It's really feeling good.
Yeah. Anyway, like it comes from an authentic place, you know, like I'm not doing it, you know, for, I don't know, getting followers or like to do whatsoever, you know, just getting clear, you know, I just want to have a conversation here with you and possibly being able to inspire people to either, you know, take action or finding a mentor or possibly like create using this space as an accountability space as well. Because that's like something we wanted to talk about. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, do you know Tim Ferriss?
Yes.
Okay, so in his book, he talks about this accountability system. I don't know if you heard of that. So basically you have a friend and you choose, let's say, 5 or 6 weeks you need to accomplish that week. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't accomplish it, like each thing you don't accomplish, you own your friend
Mm.
$100.
Mm. Mm. Which is this in the 4 hour work week?
I think he's like Tools of Titans.
Okay, Tools of Titans. That sounds right. That's a great system. I really like that a lot. Do you do
Hmm.
that?
I haven't done it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that would be efficient. That would be
Mm-hmm.
efficient for people who lack taking action and
Yeah.
people who lack, let's say, accountability partners.
Yeah. I really like that a lot. So uh, let's move towards accountability now. Does that feel right?
Sure.
So the my favorite thing about accountability is that I think it's first important to understand the way that I operate. I am not all that interested in what is true. I'm interested in what works and what's effective. So a lot of people, like in this world of spirituality and consciousness and personal development, become so attached to something like quantum physics because they're desperately trying to prove the trueness of tools, right? Which is valuable and it's interesting to learn about that stuff, but we don't necessarily need quantum physics to tell us what tools work and what tools don't work, right? And I do love learning about that kind of stuff. But so with this framework of accountability, I don't know if this is true or not. I just know that applying this framework seems to be the most effective thing for creating the changes that you want. And that's to assume that everything that I experience is something that I am choosing, attracting, or being attracted to. If I take that perspective on my life, then what that does is it puts me in a position of power to be able to change the things that I don't like into things that I don't like. Whereas if I'm not taking that position of accountability, things are happening to me, and then I'm not in a position of power to change them. So that can get kind of tricky because obviously really bad things happen to people. And so what that framework is it's not about blaming anyone for anything that they're experiencing or anything that they have experienced. It's just a framework that puts a person in a position of power to take action to change something.
Yeah.
That's why I find accountability so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you use accountability for yourself? Like, do you
Mm.
have a peer of people? Do you keep yourself accountable? Like, how do you do that?
So right now I'm working with one tool in particular to help me diagnose the ways that I'm contributing to messes or conflicts that I don't like. So if I'm experiencing something that I don't like, um, I want to transform that into something that I do like, and the only way to do that is to take accountability. At least the fastest, easiest way is to take accountability. So one of the tools that I've been using recently is this thing called the drama triangle, which has been around for probably 70 years now. Have you ever heard of it before?
No,
Okay, it's
tell me more.
beautiful. It's beautiful. So in the drama triangle, um, there are three roles that are being played. There's a perpetrator, a victim, and a hero.
Wow.
Yep. And anytime there's continued conflict, the drama triangle is being played out. Um, so here's a really simple example to capture the drama triangle. Let's say a little kid wants her mom to take her to an ice cream shop, right? And they get there and the ice cream shop is closed
Yeah.
because there's a sign out that says like closed for renovation. So the little kid, the little girl is like, why is this happening to me? Like, why are they doing this to me? That kind of thing, right? The little girl
Yeah.
is experiencing herself as a victim. The ice cream shop is doing something to her that she doesn't like. So the ice cream shop becomes the perpetrator. And so, as the victim, she's then looking for a hero to save her from her experience, right? So then she asks her mom, um, to call the ice cream shop or whatever. And let's say the mom gets involved in the drama triangle and the mom calls the shop and tells them like, they're never allowed, like they can't ever do this again, whatever, like however that happens.
Yeah.
So in this triangle, when she's experiencing herself as a victim, she has to have a perpetrator. There has to be a bad person or bad thing doing something to her. And she has to have a hero who saves her. And
yeah,
in my, like, I'm doing this all the time. We're all doing this all the time. And the thing about it is the thing that keeps the drama triangle alive is blame. Everyone is blaming each other for the existence of the drama triangle, which makes it so that no one can step outside of it and take accountability to change their experience. So that for me is a tool that I've been using a lot on myself and supporting clients with, to help diagnose the roles that they're playing in conflict, and to diagnose the roles that they're playing and see the ways that they're forcing other people's participation into their drama triangle and not taking accountability to change what they want. So like for the example that you gave before about being a mentor, if you were enacting that thing of, oh my God, like, why doesn't the universe like give me people to take care of me? Why am I always in this position? You're a victim there looking for some kind of hero to save you. And what you did was step out of that and you just changed your experience. You created the experience that you wanted to have without blaming anyone. You just took accountability. So that, like, in that way, I find that tool to be incredibly helpful.
Absolutely. Actually, there was like a very smart question coming up here on the comments, and someone was asking like, what's in your opinion the difference between accountability and responsibility? We lost a friend. Hopefully he will come back. So guys, we're talking about accountability, we're talking about mentorship, we're talking about, how like we can show up every day based on the things that we want in our life, based on where in life we feel like we wanna belong. So let's find once again. Yeah, the question was too hard. Let's find Flynn again. Here you go. Hi, brother. Welcome back.
Hey.
Yes.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
That's fine. So yeah, so the question was like, what would be, in your opinion, the difference between accountability and responsibility?
Well, I think that what we get to do is define what responsibility means. I'm thinking of responsibility. What do you let's define what responsibility means. What do you think this question, what does this question think responsibility means? Or the person can define it. That would be really helpful.
Yeah. So let's say that in our responsibility could be like, I am keeping my promises. I'm keeping my promises to myself or to others, and I'm being responsible for that. I'm being responsible for whatever is the circumstance of my life. I'm not blaming someone else, even if we think that's their problem. So I'm responsible for it.
Okay.
So this is like what it would be like for me, responsibility. Hopefully it would be the same for the person asking the question, but then for me, accountability would be like how I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna follow up with those promises.
The accountability
that will be like my view, but I would love to know from you, like, how do you see that?
Yeah. So someone in here who is a person who said a bunch of great things, said something that responsibility is like taking care of your kids, um, which I like that example. That's very clear. Um,
Yeah,
so what I would say is this: there are probably two different energies to responsibility. There's nourishing responsibility and there's obligatory responsibility.
yeah,
So if I'm living a life where I'm filling my cup up and I am energized, I'm living life in an authentic way, like you said, I've implemented my systems, then taking care of my kids is a responsibility that's nourishing. It is an arena where I get to practice love and joy and tenderness and all that kind of stuff. However, if I'm living a life where I'm depleted and my net energy is negative, um, then their responsibility, I think, becomes obligatory. Like taking care of my kids can start to feel obligatory, like an obligation. And so,
yeah,
in that framework of responsibility, um, for me, whenever there's a sense of obligation, there's always assumption about who I should be or what I should do, an expectation based on that assumption, um, and then judgment. So so I'm creating an assumption about who I should be or what I should do, what a good parent does, creating an expectation that doesn't exist in reality to do what a good parent does based on a story I have in my head, um, pursuing that story, creating an obligation to pursue that story. I have to do this because this is what a good parent does, and I need to be good. I need to fulfill the story of good. And then a judgment that fills the space between who I actually am and what I'm feeling obliged to do. So in that version of responsibility, that's that thing that we're talking about where change and growth is arduous. It takes forever just because
yeah.
there's judgment and blame in the system. But when responsibility is in the category of nourishment, like I'm doing these things because they're authentic and they're aligned and I enjoy taking care of my kids, then responsibility is energizing. Um, I don't know if that gets at the difference between accountability and responsibility, but that does kind of feel exciting for me to explain responsibility in that way.
Yeah. No, no, I feel that. I feel that, and I think it's so important to have this kind of view, like, and being clear about what things can mean for us. And let's say, how do you show up yourself every day, making sure that you are accountable? Well, what
Mm,
are, like, let's say, the things that you do?
mm, great question. Um, I am highly, highly, highly committed to my energy. So the sort of the philosophy of my life is that we can't say that anything means anything without relying on assumption. I can't say that love is a good thing. I can only know that love feels really good for me and is energizing for me. Um, saying that love is a good thing just relies on stories and assumptions. Um,
Same.
so love feels good for me and is energizing. And all I can do is live my life in a way where if I'm choosing to feel energized, then I live my life in a way with a commitment to my energy, optimizing my energy. So
Yeah.
I live my life not evaluating anything from the perspective of good or bad, just evaluating with this lens of, does this give me energy or does this deplete me? And
Same.
I just do what gives me energy.
Hmm.
I and I try to do it in a sustainable way. I do the things that give me energy in that moment and that in the big picture give me energy. So I'm highly committed to that. And it takes a lot of work. Like I wake up every morning and do breath work outside. I exercise. I meditate. I do appreciation practices. I'm constantly doing things that are about sustainable long-term energy so
Hmm.
that I can show up in a loving way for people, to
Definitely.
ultimately increase my energy.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. I pretty much do the same. Sometimes, at least me, like I get really into work and business that
Mm-hmm.
it overlaps um,
Mm-hmm.
my energies. But let me ask you, like, what are like the top three things that gives you lots of energy, and top three things that depletes you?
Okay, great question. Um, laughing, laughing really, really hard gives me energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, surfing gives me energy, and practicing appreciation gives me energy. So for me, I actually don't use gratitude because to me, gratitude is not an exchange of information. Appreciation to me is an exchange, it's an energetic exchange. So let's say I'm appreciating, if I'm sitting and I'm doing an appreciation practice where I'm appreciating surfing, like I'll sit there and I'll appreciate the temperature of the water, I'll appreciate the patterns of the waves, I'll appreciate the sunset. Like I'm having a sensory experience of this thing, and being thankful for it, letting it know that I love its beauty, because I'm operating with this perspective that the more we appreciate, the more we get. And so I'm constantly practicing appreciation, which is like a savoring of the things that the universe has produced and appreciating the beauty and the different ways of experiencing the beauty of the things that the universe has produced with my five
Same.
senses. That gives me a shit ton of energy. That gives me a lot of energy.
Amazing. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad you like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So,
I love this idea of, appreciation versus gratitude, because
mm,
sometimes it's so hard to be grateful, especially
mm,
when things like are not going well. But
mm,
appreciation is like
mm-hmm,
a easy and level enter, because
mm-hmm,
the other day I was speaking with my dad, and I was telling him about these gratitude things, and then
mm-hmm.
he told me like, towards who are you grateful for?
Yes,
And,
that's a
then
great
it's like,
question.
and like, because my father is like super like scientific and super like, into those kind of things. So when I told him like to be grateful, he said, but to who? And then
Yeah.
of course, like, what I would think is like God, universe, whatever.
Right,
Like, of
right,
course, like,
right.
and then of course, if you don't get in this connection with God, it's so
Mm-hmm.
fucking difficult to be grateful. And so then,
Yes.
yes, you can write them down. Yes, I'm grateful, but you don't feel them, and then you do nothing. You're just filling up the fucking journal.
That is so good. First off, I love that your dad said that. And that explanation of how gratitude is not, everyone is doing gratitude journals, but like not knowing what the fuck it's doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, because you're so right. What is it that you're grateful to? Who are you grateful for? I always find like when I used to practice gratitude, I was doing this thing where I wasn't being myself. I wasn't being my personality. And it's because I was thinking that I was interacting with some higher entity that didn't have a personality. Like God or the universe was like, I had to show up as this like holy saintly thing, and that to practice gratitude I had to be something that I wasn't. Like, oh my God, thank you so much. But that's not who I am. Like who I
hmm,
am is to make jokes and to like, I don't know, whatever, whoever I am. And so for
yeah,
me, appreciation is this experience of savoring an experience through the lens of what's authentic for you, who you actually are, and relating to the universe or to God or whomever like that entity has a personality that wants to interact with your personality. You don't have to show up as like a neutral meditator. You show up as yourself and appreciate. That has been transformative for me.
yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to vocalize it, because yeah, I can get so hard. It's so hard to be grateful, and it's so easy to write it down and say yes, I've done my gratitude journal. Yes, I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful, and then 10 minutes later feeling awful. Like appreciation is something that you embody and you feel it, and you don't feel like nothing at 10 minutes
So,
later. And so appreciation, I think, is way more valuable for people like us.
yes.
Unless you have this strong connection with God, then you talk to Him like every day. then
Yes.
you can be grateful to him and say, okay, I'm praying and saying,
Mm,
yeah, good, thank you for this, that, and that. That's gratitude, and that's another thing. But you need to believe that that's happening.
mm-hmm,
This conversation is happening. Conversation with
mm-hmm,
God. So
mm-hmm, mm.
beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. And then yeah, and then I was asking you about the three things that depletes your energy. What are
Mm-hmm,
those?
mm. Uh, Eating. So the way that I think about and see eating is that what I'm consuming when I'm eating is an energy, right? Um, what I'm consuming is an energy, and when I'm consuming food that has not been loved, I feel really shitty and really tired. So the reason I eat really, really, really well in terms of sustainability and like farming practices, because what I want to be consuming is an energy of love and care and kindness and that kind of thing. Um, so like I eat animals, but the animals that I eat have been loved. The plants that I eat have been loved as much as I can, as often as I can. And when I'm not eating that way, I feel exhausted. So that's one thing. Um, that trains me. Um, hmm. Relationship dynamics where I don't experience myself as where I don't experience equality. Relationship dynamics where I'm giving more than I'm receiving drain me, and that has been difficult for me because I have a high capacity to give. I there's a lot that I can give,
Yeah,
and so I have found myself in relationship dynamics where that is not matched, and that really drains me. Um, and then in general, guilt and shame drain me. If I think that I need to get in trouble for something I did that's bad, and I'm guilting and shaming myself, that really drains me and depletes my energy and takes me out of a position of accountability and action.
yeah. Wow, wow, wow. I feel so in alignment with those, especially the first one, the one with food. Like,
Mm,
is so interesting to get in the idea that we are not very much what we eat, but we eat what we eat ate.
mm-hmm,
So what the food, our food was treated,
mm-hmm,
it was like a
exactly.
factory, like people wanting to make just money, money, money. It was like,
Right.
fulfilled. And I think that has a huge impact.
A
And
hundred. Mm-hmm.
because at the end, like it's about consciousness. It's an exchange. It's like,
Yes.
is what I'm getting there. So it's
Exactly.
so interesting. Then you
Exactly.
mentioned about the relationship part. I feel you so much, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you so
Mm-hmm.
much. That's why, like, this is like one thing that changed my life, brother. Like, and I would love everyone to hear that, to implement it, to have clear intention when we connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't like to label it or anything, but I want that there are clear intention there. Like, what is because like we are not just hanging out. Because if we are hanging out and people, let's say, know what are our skills, they know what are our values, there's gonna be like always giving. So we set intentions about what the relationship want to look like,
Mm-hmm.
and in the case of that, setting boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, we are friends, and this is the kind of contract that we have as friends. I don't want to then at the end becoming your coach, because you know how things are for me and you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we at the end, we like to do that. We like to coach and to do that, but we need to keep those things apart from
Mm-hmm.
work and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's so valuable, I think.
How I actually just did a video on boundaries this morning, and I'm curious for you what boundaries are to you. And I know that we said an hour. I have about 10 more minutes if you feel good to go for five
What's the visit?
minutes. It's 11 right now.
Okay. Yes. Let's close it. Let's close it up. And anyway, happy to do one more in the next
Let's
few weeks,
let's do
months.
that. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So you wanna close with something? You want to mention something? Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, I'll say what I shared about boundaries this morning, which might be valuable for people. So, uh, I really like what you just said about creating intentions and boundaries in your relationships. What I find is that a lot of people, when they implement boundaries, what they're actually doing is engaging in the drama triangle, where the person that they're putting a boundary up against is a perpetrator who's doing something to them, and the boundary becomes the hero. And so in that way, right? And so in that way, they're actually continuing the energetic drain because it's existing in their head as this drama still. So the boundary doesn't even do anything. It may even make it worse. So for me, the way to step outside of that and implement boundaries that are actually energizing is to first inform the other person of an experience you're having that you don't like. So if something is, if a pattern is playing out and you don't like it or it's draining you, just informing them of your experience. And then the second one is to share your vision for how you would like it to be instead. So that requires a person to honor their preferences for what they like and what they don't like, which a lot of people are afraid of doing. But to me, there's no such thing as personal development without an honoring of your likes and dislikes. So communicating with the person your vision for what you would like instead. And if they consent to that vision, then you two can collaborate and start to co-create and be like, okay, here's how we can speak to each other. Here's this thing that we can do. Here's this thing. Here's how we can support each other feel this way. And once that mutual consent and collaboration is there, then you two can hold each other accountable to actualizing that vision. To me, that's a boundary that's very like connected and appreciative and communicative, rather than just like this thing that's draining.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's why like it's important to have both of us intentions, and let's hope that we got the same intention. Because if you got different intentions, like we are not gonna match up energetically.
Exactly.
And there's no way I'm gonna please you, and there's no way I want you to please me. Okay, let's be authentic, and I'd be authentic. Like I'm being anxious here with you. I'm anxious saying that feels uncomfortable, but let's set intentions, because at the end, relationships are just for growing, for healing, for cooperating. We don't go into relationship because we are lonely. Fuck no, like that's so bad, and we're gonna end up being in a dark place at some point. That's why, like, it's so. I'm so glad you said that. So expressing the vision, which I call it intention, your vision, in both parties, and let's see how we match up with that. And if we don't match, there is no way we keep spending time together. I'm sure there are people who will match that intention, that vision. You know, we're not together because we are lonely. That's
Beautiful. Exactly.
Amazing. But you have no idea how much I appreciate this. I think like our vibration was so strong, and also I felt like people here like interacting, and I loved it. So definitely I will be in touch with you super soon about this, and let's do a few more, because I feel like there's a great mix of energy here that I appreciate. So I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it makes me feel so good to hear you say that, because I felt the same way. This was very energizing for me. It felt really good. I think that you are really smart. I can tell you have a lot of experience, super insightful. And this felt really, really good for me. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Let's be in touch super soon. And for everyone here, like give a follow to Flynn. Like his reels are amazing. Like I watch them every day, getting super inspired. And we're gonna come up with something interesting soon. But have an amazing rest of the day, full of love, wisdom, and creativity.
Beautiful. Take care.
Yes.
So good to meet you.
Very welcome. Bye.
Bye.